Addin Fonua-Blake signs with the Sharkies. I'll be honest, when we first brought this up on this podcast, it might have been, was it you, Matty, that first tipped it up? Or was it?
Yeah.
So you said you wouldn't mind him at the Sharkies?
Yeah, because we're talking about who we could switch, and I was throwing up someone like Royce Hunt.
And so we started talking about the Sharkies, and initially I was like, it's a match made in heaven. It's a match made in heaven. Then it went all quiet, and I was like, oh, it's just like, there's no smoke here. There's literally no smoke between the Sharks and the Warriors. And so I thought, okay, it's just not happening. And then, boom, it drops. First of all, I want to give the Sharkies massive credit here. Like, the Sharkies are being so subtle at their improvements, and you don't actually realise how much progress they've made as a club in the last 3 years. I think this is an incredible signing. I think that this forward pack with Addin Fonua-Blake, and on top of that, I think the Warriors have come out, could you confirm this, have confirmed they're not getting a player swap. So this is just a straight signing of AFB. I love this signing, and I think the Sharks have handled the whole situation masterfully.
Yeah, it sort of just came from nowhere, didn't it?
Like, everyone was talking Dragons, they were talking every club except the Sharks. And then just, boom, drops.
Yeah. And I even thought by some of, Shane Flanagan's comments over the months, I thought Dragons were a real good thing. Yeah. It came out of nowhere, and credit to the Sharkies.
No leaks, nothing.
Nothing. And credit to Craig Fitzgibbon as well. Like I said a few months ago, like the fact that before he even had a coaching game under his belt, he had signed Nico Hines, he had signed Dale Finucane, these sort of guys. And you know what? Like they've made finals, but there is still concerns around the Sharkies.
For sure. But
fairly or unfairly, and he's managed to get an AFB.
I get that. I get the concerns about the Sharkies, and I understand why fans are like, look, we've got this good roster, we should be, delivering in the big games. But you have to compare it to where the Sharks were. Like, you've got a 26, 27-year-old Dally M7 at the club. When was the last time you had a Dally M7 at the club that's now played for New South Wales? And did he play for Australia? He did play for Australia, didn't he?
Yep.
For Australia. Like, that's not... And then you look at the roster around him. You've got Mulatalo. You know what I mean? Like, this roster a few years ago was nowhere near the roster it is today. Obviously, when they won the comp, the roster was better. But what I'm saying is since that Lewis, Gallen, all those boys retired, they've kind of been okay. Whereas this they're going so well at the moment that people are angry that they don't go deeper into the finals. Whereas before Fitzgibbon came in, if you said, he's going to sign the Dally M Player of the Year for unders, and you're going to be, coming second that year and blah, blah, you'd go, are you serious? I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, completely agree. But it is, it almost sounds negative to the Sharks, but it's a compliment that I'm expecting more from them. Yeah. That's the sort of side they've got, and it's the sort of squad they've got. And adding AFB is huge. I look at Addin Fonua-Blake, and is he a top 5 front row in rugby league? I definitely think so.
Absolutely.
But then I also look at him, and I still think that there is a bit of a gap between him and, your Payne Haas's and your James Fisher-Harris's, and I really want to see AFB. And once again, I say this about AFB because I know he can get to that level as well. I think he is the absolute best front rower of the rest, but I want to see him really push into that Fisher-Harris and Payne Haas sort of echelon for me.
You don't reckon he did it last year? No. Didn't he win a Dally?
Not against those sides, he didn't. Against the other sides, he did. But when I see him go up against Payne Haas and Fish, I still feel there's a gap between them. And I think AFB has got the potential to close that gap. And that's where is what we spoke about a few months ago when we were talking about is he worth $1 million? And that's why I say no, because I don't think he's quite at that
$1 million of the old cap.
In the old cap, yeah.
New cap,
new cap around there, but probably not $1 million still, because I want to see him go to that next level.
Yeah, okay. Timmy, what do you reckon?
So excited for the Sharkies. We've sort of sat there in the last 2 years said, or probably not the last 2 years, last 12 months after that breakout season under Fitzgibbon said, they're getting towards becoming a premiership threat, but still just being off. I had at the start of this year them really pushing for, deep into September footy. Fonua-Blake comes in, one of the best middles in the game. I'm with Guru, probably just off Tino, Payne Haas, Cup these boys, but not far off. He was enormous last year. The other thing with Addin Fonua-Blake, he's 28 years old, just turned 28 in November, so he's a veteran of the game. Feels like he's been around forever, but again, there's no reason why if he's not fit and healthy that he can't get to that level. So the Sharkies, I think you'd be relatively bold not to say that they can't really compete for a title over the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. See, I would have, if you're saying he's not, 1, 2 like Payne Haas and Fisher Harris and that, or I still would have him in the same tier though. I would still have him in the same tier. I really do think he offers something quite unique that those boys actually don't offer. I think he's quite a different front rower to them. I'm trying to think of, was he the front rower in the year that the Manly went on that great run?
No.
No, he
just left.
So when you said, has he done it against the big teams, that's a good point. I'm trying to think, has he done it against the best front rowers?
For me, Addin Fonua-Blake really represented like the New Zealand Warriors this year to me. They are a great side. They are a top 4 side. But are they going to be able to compete with the best of the best? And I didn't think so all season. Now, AFB, I'm not saying he can't compete with them.
Do you think that if you put him in those sides, though, he would be able to?
Potentially, but I don't know. I want to see it. Like he was in a top 4 side this year.
But
going to the Sharkies.
I guess the question would be, when you look at the Warriors forward pack and then you look at the Panthers and the Broncos, his job is harder than the Panthers and the Broncos because he's the main guy. Like all they have to do is
but I saw Payne Haas in one of the worst sides I've ever seen still be dominant week to week.
We're talking about a GOAT front rower,
but mate, that's what I'm saying though. Like I think AFB's got all the skill set, and you're right, he has got little things in his game that Payne Haas and Fisher Harris can't provide, and I just want to see him go to that next level and really push those guys. It's like, once again, I sound like I'm being an arsehole at AFB. It's only because I expect so much of him because I know how fucking talented he is and that he has got, you're exactly right, things that those other guys can't offer.
Because you could make the argument, Addin Fonua-Blake led the Warriors, a side that a lot of people had, fucking last or 14th or 15th or 13th or whatever, to a prelim, whereas Payne Haas for a few years he was in a spoon side. Even though again I still have Payne Haas as number 1 for me, but I'm just I think what I'm not sure of, how far behind Fisher Harris, Leota, and Payne Haas is he, and Tino?
As I said, I don't think he's too far behind, but I wouldn't have him in that absolute top tier.
Okay, so not in the top tier.
No, I'd have him the absolute top of the next tier, no doubt about it. But I want to see him take that next step.
Okay, he's definitely top tier for me. Timmy, top tier or just the top of the next tier?
I'm happy to go top of the second tier. Payne Haas, Tino, Fisher Harris. Leota's probably top of the second tier.
It's hard to split Fisher Harris and Leota.
It's so hard to split.
They're hard guys to put in.
I want to put Fisher Harris ahead of Leota, but then I'm like, based on what? Like, they do everything the same, just destroy people. So it's like, let's just partner them together.
Yeah. Top tier or top of the second tier?
No, I got him top tier. He was ridiculous last year, but I do understand exactly what you're saying, Guru. I have a question for you guys. Are you guys happy you went to the Sharks? Because I think I'm in the minority here. I did not want him to go to a lower team. I didn't want him to go to a rebuild team. It's not like the Luai situation. Luai's won 3 comps. Addin Fonua-Blake has been in a good team for maybe last year, and you could argue all the other years, he was part of a Warriors team that didn't make finals. Manly didn't really make the finals that much. I wanted Addin Fonua-Blake to go to a team that can challenge. I'm just wondering if you guys feel the same.
Has he not gone to a team that can challenge?
That's what I mean.
I reckon they can challenge.
No, that's what I'm saying. All the talk was he's going to go to Dragons.
Oh, you wanted so the talk was people wanted him to go to a bottom tier side to help him.
Exactly. People wanted that. I'm stoked that he went to the Sharks.
Matty's like, South Sydney were crying out. I was disappointed that he didn't. Firstly, I was disappointed he was leaving the Warriors after what they've built. I wish he stayed there and kept going with it. But, coming back here, probably got family here, or not probably, has family here and all that. Who knows what reasons. I would love to have seen him lob at the Doggies or the Dragons. I really would have. And for AFB, he wants to come and compete for premierships immediately. I get that. So it's no knock on his decision. But just as a rugby league fan in general, I saw the Dragons battling last year, the Doggies, and I just want to see the playing field levelled. I think the Bulldogs are building towards something so special, but they're so in need of a middle forward and a dominant one. I would love to have seen him land there. I think he would have been some X factor in that Dragons pack. But
I think the Doggies, I actually saw a tweet. I hope it's real. You just never know these days. Bloody the interwebs, it'll get you. It'll get you, mate. But Gus Gould, I think a comment basically said, like, everyone's been crying out for a middle at the Bulldogs. Like, we don't have the middle isn't that great. And he responded, basically stay patient. But apparently he's like, our young forwards coming through in a few years, you are going to absolutely. So it seems like they're doing a similar thing to what the Panthers did, where they almost cleaned out some of the older boys and just said, we're going all in on the youth. Because you'd almost be shocked why the Bulldogs wouldn't sign a guy like.
Yeah.
There's an extraordinary amount of similarities between Gus's early days at Penrith and what's happening at the Doggies right now. They are staying patient. They're building slowly. It's not going to come overnight, but there's a lot of good signs in place. They want results this year, not winning grand final, but building towards finals football. But the signs are great at the Doggies.
In answer to Matty's question, I love that he signed at the Sharks though, because
I love it. It's like a left field signing for me.
it's good. Yeah, it's something a little bit different. You would expect him to sign at a bottom club for a Mozza, but I like that he's gone to the Sharkies, and
Him under Fitzy?
yeah, I love it.
Serious?
And I love watching the Sharks play because I find them so entertaining. I love their brand of footy. I love Nico Hines. I equally find them so fucking frustrating because I think they should achieve more than what they have the last 2 years, because I have high expectations. And Addin Fonua-Blake is exactly the same, and I really do hope that the Sharkies can take that next step and proper compete come finals time.
Imagine Nico behind the front row like that.
Unreal.
Like he is a running seven. Like he is an on the ball, in your face, play what you see, and he's going to do it off Addin Fonua-Blake.
And like I love the Sharkies forward pack at the moment. I think it's one of the better forward packs in the team in the comp. But I look at it and go, okay, who's the alpha?
Yeah.
Who's the guy in that pack? There isn't really a guy. There's very good
Like
players.
Hunt
in there.
has moments, and Rudolph will have some moments, but they don't week in, week out dominate the forward pack.
Exactly right.
Not just Nick. I'm excited for Blake Brayley. I think he's
Yeah.
got one of the better running games in the competition as a 9. I think we've seen enough bits and pieces, but like we saw what Fonua-Blake did for Wade Egan. Wade Egan this year went through the roof. And I think Blake Brayley's running game off the back of Fonua-Blake, what he'll do through the middle, the amount of damage he'll do, the quick play of the balls, I think Blake Brayley can go to another level.
And I also think with AFB, and when you're talking Blake Brayley, when you're talking about Hines, like he's as dangerous with the ball as he is without it.
Yeah.
I think you look at the way the Warriors, and especially Sean Johnson, used him over the last couple of years, the way that they just put him in certain spots, like one of their pet plays was going down that left side, AFB, they'd face ball him to Jackson Ford. It's just all the eyes are all on AFB, and there's so much you can do around him. And I think it is something that, as you said, he can do things that certain other players can't. I think AFB's awareness is a little bit underrated in that facet of the game.
Man, him under Fitzgibbon, him with Dale Finucane, there's a lot to love. I'm excited. And as I said, I like that it's like this left field signing. I don't know why, but I just never pictured AFB in a Sharkies jersey. I pictured him in a Doggies jersey. I could see him in a Rabbitohs, a Dragons. But a Sharkies jersey, it just didn't, I don't know why, but even though we were sitting here saying it's probably the best fit out of the lot, I will say, tiny bit surprised there wasn't whispers the Rabbitohs were interested. Because Burgess is this his last year in his contract or one more?
Last year his contract, yep.
So, Burgess is their big dog. He'd be on, I'd assume, a good wicket. If you want to replace like for like, I know they're a different type of player, but what do we always talk about? Like the alpha dog in the pack. Well, it's Burgess I know Totola has kind of taken that mantle, but Burgess is the guy. Like he is the main guy. Very surprised there wasn't at least a little bit of chatter because he's from the mascot area.
He's a mascot junior.
And he would fit that, imagine that roster
Holy
if
moly.
AFB come to it.
Yeah, it'd be a good fit.
Oh,
And especially, he's not a front row forward that people talk about much, but with Harm Saleh leaving, Southside, you're going to miss him so much.
yeah, agreed. I am a little bit concerned of the pack of the Rabbitohs, but we'll get into that. We've got a few weeks to do that. Anything else on AFB arms? The Warriors. I'm actually really upset's a strong word, but I'm actually a bit sad for the Warriors. I think they've been dudded in this whole situation, and not dudded in. I am absolutely taking nothing away from the personal stuff going on in AFB's life. I know people like to say, "Oh, he left Manly." Guys, things change in people's lives. Like you can have family issues multiple years, so you have to take this guy at his word, unless you've got evidence to suggest otherwise. So this is to take nothing away from the seriousness of what's going on in AFB's life, the reasons for why he needs to come back to Australia. But I do think massive, massive losers in this are the Warriors. We have seen how hard it is to find a big alpha dog in the middle. What is essentially the one thing that all the lower tier clubs are missing?
Yeah.
It's a big alpha dog in the middle. Like, it really is. And you go, you could say that about any position. Yeah, you could probably say it about number 7, maybe fullback and front row. But it doesn't get appreciated enough that the front row, like, for example, Bromwich, when he was at the Storm, I think he was one of their highest paid players. Like, that should tell you something. The Melbourne Storm, the most dominant club of the last 20 years, was paying their front rower one of the biggest wages in the comp. And a guy like AFB, I really hope that the Warriors, they've got time to obviously go out and sign with their money is going to free up, or they've got young guys coming through, because from what I see now of who they have, they don't have a ready replacement for AFB.
Yeah, I don't think they do. And bloody tough to have a replacement for a guy like him. Same as, and as I said, I've got him at the top of that second category. It's impossible to have a replacement for Fish. It's impossible to have a replacement for Payne Haas. Like, you cannot find these guys around. I do feel sorry for the New Zealand Warriors, and I think it is just the unfortunate reality of...
For example, the reason, obviously I'm closer to the Broncos, so I know a little bit more about them. There's obviously no replacement for Payne Haas, but there are... young guys that they have in their squad that they go, they're not going to be Payne Haas, but he's something special. We think he could be the next guy. The thing, I look at that Warriors squad, I just don't see in that squad currently. And look, no one loves rookies more than us coming out and exploding and killing it. But I just don't see in that squad currently a guy that could replace. If I'm being honest, so Barnett ended up moving to the middle, didn't he?
Yeah.
So you're already bringing an edge. He was edge at the Knights, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So he played both.
A bit of both.
Yeah.
But you're already bringing in a guy that can play both rather than an out-and-out front rower. So they're already a little bit light in the front row. And to lose AFB, I'm upset for the Warriors.
You add in one of the stalwarts of the middles there, Tohu Harris. So much admiration for that bloke, but he looks like any game could be his last because he's that much bandage.
He's too
on
tough
him.
for his own good.
He's so tough, but he gets so many little injuries. He just seemingly plays through them all. But man, he's been tough throughout his career. But certainly twilight of his career as well, playing arguably the best footy of his career. But another year on, hopefully not, but potentially a few injuries come as well. Who comes in? Who's next?
Warriors, so Webster has been a revelation, killed it. I could see, it's like anything in life. It's not just all the way up and let's go. There's little bumps in the road and you go back up. I could see a slight lull for a year or two with Webster as he regenerates the next guys coming through. Honestly, if he can keep that top four finishing over the next few years, it will be nothing short of a miracle. Because how the hell could you do that when you the systems weren't even in place for these juniors coming through other than this year?
Yeah. I think as well, as you said, when you're replacing front row forwards, especially a guy like AFB, I can give you a list of 1 million guys who were the biggest guys in reserve grade and in the juniors that dominated, but you don't know how those guys are going to handle it until they get into the fucking arena.
Oh, absolutely.
AFB's come into the arena and has dominated. He's a Dally M front row forward. He's right at the top tier of front row forwards in our game, and it's all good and well. There's going to be so many next Payne Haas's over the next 20 years that just come to absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Because it is really easy. You go back to that Toyota Cup and you look at those teams of the years, all these front rowers that had these unbelievable seasons, they last 15 games in first grade because they come up against men and it's a different story.
Yeah.
You got all these big body front row forwards through junior grades that look like they're going to promise the world, deliver an Atlas. It's hard.
That's one of your best.
Like that one?
That is actually fucking unbelievable.
How long's that been in the back pocket for, mate?
In the swag for a while.
That is unbelievable.
That is great.
That is so good. I've literally never heard that, Guru. You are on fire this year. You've had your Dally M on now. Yeah, best year. Yeah. Holy, promise the world, deliver an Atlas, eh? Oh my god.
Yeah, that's red hot.
Oh, that's great. Everything done on AFB, boys?
Yeah,
and the
that's
Warriors?
enough. Yeah.